Hey everybody, welcome to Spill the Immunity. I am Bree. I'm here with Alex and Brandon. Hi guys.
Hey,
Hey guys. Hey, can you comfort me, Alex? I'm stressed. Wasn't that a great one-liner from our friend? You didn't hear this? Am I making stuff up?
I heard
oh,
it.
From Crazy Woman, Hurricane Kelly.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Jumping right into it.
My one-liner, Alex.
I'll comfort you. I'll hug you, Brandon.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Yeah. Kelly. What's in the name? I don't know. But this year, this Kelly, she is a whole lot of something. But I'm ready to play Twister with her and have some fun, and we'll see what happens, I guess.
Well, we're talking about the new season of Australian Survivor, Titans versus Rebels, just to catch everybody up here. So Titans versus Rebels just started 3 episodes. Survivor Australia, it's so different than American Survivor. One, there's like a zillion people. There's like so many people playing.
Yeah.
Right. And then they launched 3 episodes in a row. So what was it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There was episodes, hour-long episodes. So a lot of TV watching. Great season so far. So Bree, start us off. Yeah, we're what do you where should we start talking about? This we got like 3 episodes. We usually talk about 1 episode per.
I know we have so much.
3 into 1 hour.
Three
so
times
where do you think we should
the
start?
same amount of pay for all of us.
I know, right? We get paid the same. It doesn't matter. First of all, let's just start out with Australia's coming off of an epic season. They've won awards for it. They're big into the cinematography, and we are not getting let down again. Once again, there's really, really great cinematography going on. It just makes the episode more enjoyable. So I want to give a shout out to the production crew and to how they're putting things together, because it makes it such a fun, like, I feel like they're getting such a good balance of everything that I'm already super invested in this season. I'm loving every second that I get. I think we want to talk about the challenges, how much fun they are in Australia and how much better they are in Australia. And we want to talk about this cast of characters that are surprising me. I was not expecting this from some of them.
Yeah.
So I think we need to just get started with our general, let's just start with the Titans, because we saw the most of the Titans in the last 3 episodes. What are our opinions on our Titans, and who are our favorites front runners right now?
Well, in the Titans team, we had Frankie, Jessica, Caroline, Charles, Jaden. Yep. Kitty, which I don't never heard. Mark, Nathan, Valerie, or how do they say her name? Like
Valeria,
right? Sounds like Valeria. Yeah,
that's true.
Valeria, Viola, and Winna. So that's who we got for the Titans team. Yeah. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, I just think that I'm going to stop applying for US Survivor and go with the Australian Survivor. I think that as far as the challenges, like we saw one puzzle, and that puzzle challenge at the end where they had basically it's a 5x5 grid, and there was a little slither of color that was different. If you see it, oh my goodness, you're just freaking out because the other team was trying to throw the challenge. I know I'm starting at episode 3 right now, so maybe I'll dial it back. Let's go to episode 1, right? And the first challenge, Australia always does well. That first challenge, the Burning Man, fantastic.
Yeah, it was an interesting, so with that challenge, they had to run, gather the firewood. Yeah. The Rebels, they were doing just like the individual, gathering these big things. And then the heroes the Titans were all disorganized, and then they had to switch strategies. And then they started their fire too early. And the Rebels made this really nice, big pyre. And then they just stuffed it full of the wool, lit it on fire, and the whole thing went up instantly. Right.
Yeah.
So that was the start of kind of the Titans losing streak there at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think with the Titans, they just weren't prepared. Too many leaders, not enough workers. Everyone was they weren't communicating. There was no cohesive group. And so they just they just were overwhelmed. I think for when you look at the Rebels, they are scrappy and they're used to being thrown into situations where they have to like get things done and think things through, and like they were more accustomed to it. It just felt that way, that it wasn't like, oh my gosh, what do we do? There wasn't that pause with them. And the Titans were just like, wait a minute, I usually have like 10 people that I'm gonna wait. They're supposed to come and do this for me. Like, where's my
Where's my
staff?
coffee? Yeah,
Where's my coffee?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is all this happening? And so we are getting like, they just were fish out of water when it comes to that. I actually like the fact that they were like doing the let's do a train and get like, so that like we're not all running like crazy people. But there wasn't that much more of the challenge, physical challenge. So there really wasn't a lot of need for that, and obviously wasn't as effective. The ones that were carrying, the Rebels that were carrying these massive stacks of things, they just came more prepared. They got things done a little bit better, but the Titans were completely lost because they didn't have their staff and they had to make those adjustments. And I think we're going to start seeing the Titans coming on stronger now as they've made these adjustments, because they're smart people. They're going to figure things out and they're going to get things done. Yeah. But at the get-go, they weren't prepared for that. The Rebels were like, drop us in anywhere and we're going to get to work and get things done. And that's just what we're used to. So I think that showed.
Yeah. And also with those Titans, they just started becoming this Titan figure. They've been a Titan for a while. So that has allowed them to be in a place in life where they can excuse some things, sacrifice some things. Hey, let's work out. Let's try to find the best plan. But you only have, more days than US Survivor to do this, but you have a limited time to make those errors. And they better figure it out before too long, or they're not going to get those second and third chances. As who has it been? Who's got voted out so far? Jesse, is it Jessica? Was that her name?
Yep.
Well, we have Frankie was the first person voted out.
Yeah.
Yep. Followed by Jessica, the lecturer, and then last night was Peeta. Peeta was voted out.
I liked Peeta, but she was a little arrogant. Maybe it was the tattoos that had me drawn in by her. I kind of liked her, but going to like Frankie in that first vote, I think what we saw there was real like mastery of the game from Eden, and is it Mark? Are they the invisible hand?
Mark, yeah. Mark is the diplomat, which you never hear in America. I'm a diplomat. Mark is very good. And then his combination with Eden, and which is funny
about Eden.
I really like Eden. I really like him. I picked him as, I was like, wow, this guy's like really gonna go far. I think his pop culture, I didn't think about this, but like, yeah, that pop culture, does ingratiate you to people and be able to relate with people on that level, have that common ground with people. Super powerful. But I thought it was kind of weird and ironic that you have a politician and Hollywood essentially, right, teaming up to control the narrative through an invisible hand, right? This is like a dynamic that you could see maybe in real life, right? And then they're actually implementing it here on Survivors. That's what I love so much about Survivors. Like, you see these almost microcosm of macrocosm dynamics, possibly at work. And they're really powerful. Two super smart. And this is the tone. They talked about this at the beginning. What's the tone of the season? And if we just go out all the weak people, well, then it's just going to be weak person after weak person after weak person. They voted off Frankie, who's, one of the stronger people out there, men included, right? And that really set the tone of, kind of this nerd, or they said the minority alliance. What they really mean is like, kind of the nerdy or maybe less beautiful alliance. And that was a big oversight that these like beautiful people are making. It's like they think the beautiful people are in the majority. Like those four which were on Rebels, they're like, oh, we're in the majority. No, you're actually in the minority, right?
When they get this whole high school lunchroom mentality,
right, high school lunchroom,
they want to sit with the popular kids, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, hold on, there's a far more non-popular kids at every single school than there are popular ones. And Survivor is the game where you get to vote off the popular kid from the table. So both tribes are went that direction with it, voting off the cool kids. So it's a fun dynamic.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that it played out in the Titans
Both sides.
in the first vote off, and it
Yeah.
played out in the Rebels in the first vote off. So we're seeing that, like, don't think you're safe and don't think you know. And Peter went home with an idol in her pocket, which I thought was amazing as well. I wanted to get to Bobby's comment really quick. I feel like regardless if the episode is 20 minutes or 90, we ultimately get all the information we need from Australia. I never feel like it's too much. I can't always say that with the US version. I have to agree with you on that, Bobby. I think that's a really good that's a good vision of like how it is. And I think us, like we were saying that in the beginning, Australia does give us everything that we need, and it gives us enough of what's happening behind the scenes, and we get that camp life. We're understanding how we're like the cuddle group. We understand what everybody's doing and how things are playing out and who's doing things. Kelly's been kind of called out for not doing a lot of stuff around camp, except for tending the fire or whatever she does. And so they're giving us a lot of those things that we've actually talked about on this show that we don't get from the US version. Even in the 90 minutes, I love both. I don't want it to sound like I'm like, oh, US is terrible and Australia is so much better. I think they both have really good strengths. I think there's reasons we love, and there's a reason that we're on season 45 coming up of the US Survivor. And they push the bar and they're always trying new things. But there is something to be said about Australia just giving us that, like, everything we've always wanted in a Survivor season, right? And they did that last season. They're coming out of the gates doing that again, and I think that's what serves them. Plus, I think, we definitely need to talk about the challenges. We kind of spoke about the first one, but overall, what are you guys feeling is like the level in these challenges and in the difficulty that we're getting right out of the gate?
Go ahead, Alex.
The challenges are just so much bigger, grander, more physical, longer, more exciting, on American Survivor, or I'm sorry, on this, Australian Survivor generally. Just a lot more physicality. I think you got some big people on this season, but it's not, you don't have a ton of really, really large people. Like you maybe had on yeah, Jaden's a big guy. Alex, is a big guy. Frankie got voted off. I mean, even Ferris, right? Which I'm really liking Ferris. He looks a lot like King George. And even in some of his scenes, I feel like he's trying to talk like King George.
But he needs to watch out. And I don't know if you saw that big smirk he had at the end of that last tribal council where they voted off PETA. But you can tell that he was kind of playing face, doing all the George faces, like making sure he's smiling at all times, that George was great at, because you could never tell he was worried. However, we just got done seeing George do that. So if the players are wise, they'll be like, oh, he's doing a lot of George type stuff. That's why I think that you should never be like the winners that previously won a season, because people are very quick, or I think I would be very quick to make sure that I put the kibosh on those guys right away. I think he needs to watch out. I think he's going to be playing a great game. But
at that last tribal we saw at the third tribal council, he said something that was kind of innocuous. It was kind of a leading thing. And then people were like, what? Mm-hmm. And he really reveled in it. You see, he's just cool as a cucumber. He really reveled in it. But I think he thought like, okay, maybe I let something slip. And so he went back and he said, no, the plan is the plan, and kind of reassured everybody. But in that moment, I was like, oh, this guy actually does, like King George, revel in the stress and anxiety. And that could take him very far, because if he can stay cool, that you see that a lot on Survivor, especially in this kind of opening thing, people are losing their cool, right? And they're freaking out, and it was with Eden, right? When he first heard his name out there, he's like, my vision went blurry and I started spinning, and he kind of went into frantic mode. Right.
Yeah. I just think it's really, you got to watch out if you're trying to play the game of somebody who just got really close to winning it. And to me, I think he's loose lips sink ships. And I think that if you play the way George does and say things that aren't exactly George, like if you're not George enough, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you got to watch your step. And I think that's Eden. One of my things with Eden, I know you like him, Alex. And for me, I'm already starting to get the arrogance that I don't like. It's really irritating to me that he's just like, I'm the puppet master. I know I'm going to do all of these things. And I get that a little bit, but it's really early days. You got to be careful because if you get perceived as being that kind of person, that is exactly what you voted Frankie out for, because she was like in her little clique of people that thought like, oh, we're just going to hang out in the water and play and do whatever because we're so confident in the things that we're doing. And I think we're starting to see that in Eden already, where he's got this like arrogance about him, like and where Mark doesn't, he knows how to just never show his cards, but amazing poker player, because he really knows how to, I'm pulling all the strings and no one's going to know about it, and I'm going to be so cool and relaxed, and really like he's, for me, he's the guy to really watch and be careful of, because he's not going to let things on like Ferris lets things on. He was giving away a lot at that tribal council. Ferris is, if you want to know what's happening, just watch Ferris during a tribal council, because if you're sitting next to him and you see the expressions, pay attention. And I think it was really obvious. And I think JLP actually called him out on some of that. And so he's going to have to really, really watch himself. Mark doesn't give anything like that away. He doesn't say anything that's going to give him away. And I think Eden might do that as well. I think we're going to see Eden getting his foot in his mouth a few times with things because he's got that arrogance about him.
He's a little too fun loving. He's enjoying the game a little bit too much. The deception. The thing about Mark, which I really liked about him, and I didn't really like him the first episode, but the second episode when Jessica came back to camp and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do Australian accents every time I impersonate somebody."
Let's hear it.
They're like, I don't know if I can do it now. So Jessica's like,
scared you.
"Oh, I was the one who arranged the Frankie vote." And then Mark, he's so good. I mean, yeah, thanks. He played into her ego. And that's what Mark is really good at, is affirming people's egos and knowing when to do that, and being the diplomat and understanding how to manipulate people on that level. I mean, he's very good at that. And he keeps it cool. He keeps it very cool too.
Well, and he did it in front of a small group of people too. So once you start, you can do what Mark is doing, but keep it with one person or two people to where no one's watching what you're how you're seriously strategizing. And I think that's what Emily did really well until she started talking about how great her game was, is that she would have these one-on-ones where she would, that's where she would get someone down. That's where she would work her strategy, because no one else saw her kind of be the Black Widow of that situation. I think that's what Mark has over everything instead of Eden. I think Eden's playing too open of a game. And I think it appears to me that he's going to rely on his social game a little bit too much, but I think his social game is only one dimensional. I think he has the movie thing, and I think so he's depending on him being pop culture, surface level, let's make people laugh and enjoy themselves. But the minute he saw his name, even if it was from a minority player, he was starting to freak out pretty severely, and that could get you in trouble too.
Yeah, that's going to be his undoing, I think, because he did freak out. I mean, it was bad. I'm like, dude, chill. If you know this game, you better relax. But I don't think he was really understanding. Like many players, they get on there and they don't really understand what it's like to be in that intense situations. And so he lost his shit. So it was unfortunate for him. I think it could get him in trouble down the road. Mark saw it it was very clear. I saw him freaking out, and I knew this was going to be a problem, and that does make him a little bit of a wild card. You have to take all of these things into account. But Mark's going to need him for a while. So I think he'll keep him around. I think, he'll just try to mitigate some of that paranoia and that behavior. Listen, dude, we got this. Yeah. If you just need to settle down kind of thing. And he'll be a diplomat about it, obviously. The thing you said, Alex, I thought was so important was Mark doesn't need credit for anything. Mark will not take credit. He will always say, that was so courageous of you. That was so, wow, you really just pumping them up to the point where Jess really shot. If she was not going home at that second tribal council, she shot herself in the foot. I was so amazed. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the way she was saying, that was my move. I did all that stuff. Yes, I put that all together. I had you guys. It was all my game. Stupid. or
Yeah,
what?
well, yeah, well, definitely stupid in hindsight, right? Because she got voted off. But we were talking about this while we were watching it. Being a lecturer is a negative. Oh, I was lectured. Or, lectures are defined as boring. Like, right? Yes, on the intellectual academic scale, lectures are enjoyed, but generally over the large public, people who lecture people are looked at like know-it-alls, arrogant. How dare you? And
you're doing it from a
accepted
bunch
in
of
her.
Titans.
And you're doing it with a bunch of Titans, right? Who are Eric, right? So not Eric, but so that's where she really, and she it looks like she got like high on her own supply, right? She's like thinking, oh wow, and that was partially Mark saying you are in control of this game. So I think she just didn't have that kind of like Emily, right? When she first started, oh, I'm going to be this, know-it-all brainiac. Okay, people don't like that. People don't like know-it-alls, brainiacs, unless they have low self-esteem, like Cochran, right? And they're self-deprecating and they aren't arrogant, right? They're endearing, and their intellectualness is in some ways a weakness, right? And in some ways holding them back. So in Eden kind of has that. And I'll say this too about like the Eden, Mark, they have a really amazing alliance there, right? We talked about kind of the nerds and the less athletic people. They got Caroline, Charles, Eden, Mark, and that's where I think
I want to be a part of
the middle-aged mafia.
baby.
Yeah. So I think Eden, he fits really well with Charles, right? And really well with the Caroline. And because it was Eden, Caroline, and Kitty who came together to split the vote. And so that's why I think Eden's in a really good position, is because Mark is kind of between, right? Between the Titan level, nerd level. And Eden is really that like nerd archetype, which, this season seems to be leaning towards more than the physical side. So, but Mark could be that bridge between.
Yeah. And Mark's actually pretty athletic. Like he's like, I'm a swimmer, right? And like he was proving, he does have that physicality to him, even though it doesn't, like, it's not the first thing you think of when you think of him, but he does have enough where he's going to pull his own weight. He's going to definitely help the team. He's not going to be a negative to getting things done, where I think some of the other players just don't have the grit that they're going to need to, handle these team challenges. And these are not easy team challenges. Plus we're going head to head, which, I love.
Yeah.
Let's get physical, guys. Come on.
Oh. Physical. So Eden, another thing I saw on this whole idea that you guys are promoting, which I completely agree with, on him saying way too much, way too soon, and saying, hey, this is my move or whatever. I don't know if you saw it, but even he wanted to make sure everybody knew that he was the one who came up with the name Middle Age Mafia. He kind of said, oh, and I came up with that. And again, you do not want to do that. You do not want to cause any attention to yourself that you've created something, because chances are you're going to try to create something else that'll get that person home. And I thought that was, again, telling. And again, with Mark, I think Eden's already lost the game. I don't see how. I don't remember the last time an anxious player won Survivor. I think it's been quite some time. But what a better job to have than a diplomat on a team of Titans. I mean, that is the greatest job you can have as far as enduring and taking out a team called the Titans.
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to move into the Rebels a little bit now. I want to start us off with my favorite quote of the last 3 episodes. It was brilliantly delivered and it made me laugh, and I immediately wrote it down. And it was delivered by Alex, speaking of Kelly. And he said, she'll talk underwater with a mouth full of marbles. And I'm like, dangerous. That is such a great description of Kelly. What do we think of this Rebel team?
Well, Brandon, now I'm the guy with the unfortunate Survivor name connection. Alex is not really excelling in Survivor, and he's kind of rude. He's kind of rude to Kelly, and kind of, he was, again, thought he was at the top of the heap, using some Australian lingo there, top of the heap, and he's not, right? And he was with,
come back.
What was that?
I just want your accent to come back.
Yes.
It's spontaneous. It comes when,
It comes and goes, man.
Yeah, it comes and goes. My Australian accent, it comes and goes. So, he's a maths teacher. On the site it says math with an S. So he's a math teacher. Interesting. But yeah, kind of a rude guy. We'll see now if he's a little bit more restrained because his girlfriend, his Barbie, got voted off, PETA. So we'll see if he kind of real, but he just kind of seems a little bit, I don't know, not very strategic, I guess. Right, putting his foot in his mouth, kind of criticizing people at tribal council, in a personal way.
Yeah, and for somebody that's good at the maths, you need to be able to count to 6 because that's how many you need in your lines.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, both sides did it. 4. They're like, oh, we got our 4. We're good to go.
Right.
And it screwed them up. And I don't know if that's like them watching US Survivor and just.
I was gonna say, yeah. And US Survivor just takes about 4. In Australian Survivor, they forgot there's like 12 people per tribe.
Yeah. Like you need half a town to have your alliance before you feel too comfortable in yourself. So like, yeah, I thought Alex is, kind of there. I think I like Ferris. I think he's talking a little bit too much. Kelly, but you can't say that anybody talks too much. Or like you said, Brie is. Oh my, marbles,
man. She's and she was gonna let's play Twister, let's do all this stuff. She's just too much, and I don't understand her game because I really feel like she's that's not really all of her. Yeah, I know the namaste, the whole meditation thing, and thinking that she is like Meryl Streep. I think that that's what her life goal is, to be Meryl Streep, because she was really trying her acting out, and it's like Meryl Streep in a bad Mamma Mia day. I'm sorry, you're just not cutting it. And so I was
fun TV,
but it's like I feel like she's thinking that this is who she needs to be, and it may not be who she really is. I haven't decided on that yet. It might just be who she is, and that's just the way she is all of the time. But I don't feel that that's 100% true, because I mean, she is a psychologist, and she does, or psychiatrist, or whatever she does. And I'm like, but you should be able to read a room a little bit better than to understand what. If that's your profession, you should be able to see how people are reacting to you. But she's completely oblivious to it. So I don't know how intentional. I don't know. She's got me very confused. All I know is she's very annoying, and I can't. And I don't know how much she's contributing, because they've already made comments about how much are you doing around camp, because she's not a big physical player, obviously. And so what is she bringing to the table, I guess, is my question. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of the joke that psychologists are usually more messed up than the patients, right? They become psychologists because they're really interested, because they themselves have a neuroses, so they like to study it, right? But maybe this is how psychologists are in Australia. They're like, Australia is high, the energy level is much higher, the enthusiasm level is much higher, the physicality, and so I thought about her, if she's dealing with people who are depressed, she's like a shot of coffee. She's like energy, right? And so people would want to do that because they just want high energy. They just want somebody to infect them. Again, back to the previous seasons, infect people with their energy. Now she takes it over the top, and she's annoying, and she's not maybe self-aware, a little bit out of control, crazy, type of thing. And she embraces that, kind of like maybe Carolyn, but not as funny and not as likable in that sense. But, yeah, I mean, and I think she's taken the strategy, maybe she knows it or not, of being so unlikable that people are going to take her because she's a goat, right?
I don't think she knows what she's doing. I don't think.
Well, I don't think that's intentional. I don't think she's like, I'm going to be so.
Well, she's dating Brandon now, apparently. So.
Wait, what?
Well, didn't she ask him if he's single? What was that whole conversation?
That was Nathan.
Oh, Nathan.
I'm Brandon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're Brandon.
Aren't you guys dating now,
Nathan.
Brandon? No, please no.
She asked me if I'm single, and wants me to be an immunity win reward.
I was like,
no, she's dating Raymond, who gives me Joker vibes a little bit, but he can't
in a
help
bad
it,
Joaquin Phoenix kind of way. I don't know what's going on with that.
I like Raymond though. He's got a charm to him. He hasn't struck me as super annoying. I think he's really a very nice guy, and so he's the one who's like, oh, I'm so nice. I'll stay there with Kelly. Like I'll listen to her stuff, and he's just so kind of fun loving or like accepting of people and understanding that, hey, it doesn't really annoy me that much. I don't, like maybe he's kind of used to hanging out with these different types of characters, right?
I
And all
think
these other pretty people are more like less forgiving
I
of
don't think he's
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, I don't think he's as social as the rest of them, and so I think
Mhm.
he gravitates towards people who are overly social, and so I think that's where he's being pulled right now is that Kelly, let's go play
Mhm.
Scrabble and Twister and everything else.
Yeah.
So my one of my favorites on the Rebel team right now is Kirby.
Yeah. Is she the she's the perceptive one, right?
She's the AFLW, the rugby
Yes,
coach.
Mhm.
Very,
Yeah, I like
very
that.
emotionless, very observer, only takes action when, she feels it's appropriate. She said she's trying to play a very low key game.
Yep.
She's not up and down, smile on her face, kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really like her because she is a little bit dry, but she did arrange that vote out of PETA. I mean, wasn't she kind of the person who maybe started that? If I'm remembering right.
Yeah,
right.
she
So that's a
really
big
was on
play.
top of it. And then once she got all the votes, she very smartly said, and they don't need my vote to do this. So
Yeah.
her and who is the girl that she is kind of teaming up with? I can't remember her name.
Well, there's Rihanna, but I don't think that's her. Is it the Asian woman,
Yes.
Aline? Yeah.
So
that was very
two,
clever, those two. Very low key.
Yeah, we don't need to we can stay in that circle and play it smart and still have enough votes to get her out, which I thought was brilliant. And it was very low key. And she definitely is an observer to everything that's happening all of the time, and then makes very subtle moves to get what she wants done that benefits her game. Yep. And I think we're going to, if she can keep that low key, if she can really maneuver in that way where I'm staying with these guys and they don't know that I'm actually working against them and I'm doing these things, and she'll be able to ride that, I think, for a little while. If she keeps that low profile, I think she'll go very far in this game.
Like those bigger tribes we see in Australia and we used to see in US where it's like 10 people, 9 people, or whatever it might be. It's a lot easier to make sure you can hide behind people, and there's a lot of people to hide behind. So that's a fantastic strategy for such a huge group of people to be able to do that. Because so far we haven't seen, all three of them have been pretty high personality type individuals. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's, strong, probably a former AFL player, right? Or a rugby player. So you saw her going up against, we haven't even talked about her, Viola, she's the strong man, or strong woman, power lifter girl. I mean, super physical, but she's super short. So they keep putting her into these strong challenges, but she's strong for her size, weight class, but going up, you look at it, the next kind of preview, she's just too small. So she's probably, gonna get run over. But I wanted to say this about Kirby was, she said, "Oh, I don't want to tell him I'm a coach." Can we tell, like, we can't tell him we're a lawyer. We can't tell him, like, a coach, like, oh, he's a coach. We bet, oh my gosh. Like the dip, like, is it really that maybe in Australia coaches are seen as like gods? In America, if you're a coach, it's like, I mean, she is of an AFL team. So that's kind of maybe, but it's a woman, it's not professional men. So I just thought it was kind of funny. I just thought it was kind of funny. She's like, I can't tell people I'm a coach.
I know.
I tell people I work in, like, I'm a manager at Target or something. Is that too, strategic for people?
Yeah, but I think that too, it shows how she can hold things back. And if she's already thinking about, I can't share my occupation as a coach, then she's doing a great job by she's not going to say ever, I don't think, too much, because she has that ability. But I agree. It's not a lawyer. It's not a diplomat. That's a coach. But again, the professional coach thing. And I think for coaches and stuff, they understand what all coaches can really do when it comes to, if they really were to play out their entire job, teamwork, building people up when they're down, all those different things. I think that she's well aware of what that could do, which means I think she's well aware of some other things as well that could go on this game.
Yes, Jimmy Johnson. We saw him playing
Right.
Survivor. Let's go back to the coaches and the people, and then of course coach, right? And so there is maybe a stigma with it that maybe they see the entire field because that's their job as a coach, is to understand the opposition, to understand how the game is played and see all possibilities, so that they're really watching everything at all times. So maybe there's that persona, and she does have it. She is not a little league coach. She's at a professional level. So I guess I kind of see that she's wanting to keep that. It really, there's no profession, like you said, manager at Target. Everybody just go to Target recruiting and just hire, bring in all the managers, and that'll make everything an even playing field. We all work at Target. We wear a bullseye. That's on our now on our buff. It's going to be a simple Survivor game. No,
Survivor, Target versus Walmart.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Season 85. We'll see what that could be. You never know. Okay, we did mention it a little bit. I love Viola for this reason too, is because she is so strong. I had to look up what 170 kilos was.
It's 400 pounds.
I know, it's a lot of weight. So
she's a deadlift.
Yeah. She's a tough girl. She's got a lot of strength. I like her attitude. I think I enjoy watching her. I don't know if she'll get very far, but I really do enjoy watching her play. But we are getting into these physical challenges, and I wanted to go specifically to the reward challenge where they were pulling, was a tug of war.
That was awesome.
Because there we really began to see strategy played by the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Smart playing. How did you guys feel that went, as far as the Rebels not really paying attention to what the Titans were doing, and how that's going to maybe play out later as they go to more challenges against each other?
Well, it's that whole scrappy versus strategic thing going on. And I think that they alluded to it early. I forgot the gray-haired guy on the Rebels was like, as soon as he says go, pull that rope. Well, of course, that's everybody's strategy in tug of war if you don't think about it. But of course, that did not work. And I think that's a huge sign that on those challenges that are more give you the option and the ability and the time to strategize, I think the Titans will win a majority of those, if not all.
Well, the gentleman you entered, 59 years old, Garrick, nice Australian name there, Garrick. You never hear that here in America. And yeah, it was really headed by Mark. They had one caller, right? And Mark they said, is Mark the secret weapon? He's like, well, maybe not so much anymore. I have to confetti.
What did you say?
I did this.
Okay.
But you saw that, it was interesting because you would hold it, and if you actually went down on the rope, so that was the strategy, is you went down, and that created more tension on it, because if it's even like this, it's easier to pull.
Yeah.
And so they let the Rebels team kind of wear themselves out. They took a low position, and then they would do strategic. And that was a really fun moment when Eden and Charles won that challenge, and they're like, like this. It was super. That was super fun to see the nerds win a physical challenge.
Well, another rope strategy they had was on that next challenge where, and they lost, but still the shaking of the basket of coconuts. I almost wonder if they told them to stop that, because in the seasons after that, they were holding still. And maybe it was too difficult for them, but yeah, that's another piece the Titans have over the Rebels, it appears.
Yeah, and I think that we didn't see them make correction, and that's one of the things I think is going to hurt the Rebels, where we saw that strategy played over and over every time we had a matchup in that tug of war. And why were they not picking up on that or paying more attention to that? They use the same strategy repeatedly. You get you the first one or two times, but that fool me twice kind of a, you got to pay attention and see what they're doing. And they were not doing that. And that's because they were like, we're tough and strong. And that's where that attitude's actually going to be detrimental to them.
Yeah. Viola, what's her name?
Russian model?
Valeria?
No, the other one, the other V.
Valeria.
Viola?
Yeah, Viola.
Viola and Valeria, the V's.
Viola, I think also has a lot of Angela from Australian Outback. So I love seeing that back again because I think she's one of the greatest players, just entertainment wise. I had so much more to say than that. Alex, go ahead and talk.
Well, I was gonna say, Valeria, Russian model, right? Everyone's oh brother, roll their eyes, right? But I've come to like her. I mean,
I love a Russian accent. Yeah.
I think she and then Viola, you have this, contradiction, right? And they connected on that level too, because you think about whatever. But I really like those two, and they really get along. And I think that helped both of them kind of settle down and get I think we see this Russian supermodel come in and we think, oh, she's going to be a prima donna and she's going to, be kind of a B, right? And she found Viola and now she's like, oh, I got my girl. And, I can be happy and I can be friendlier and I can relax a little bit. I like that alliance a lot, just from a
and the fact that they were not quick to join, because they have joined the preppy table like that, but they, I think, saw the numbers again, the model and Viola have a brain, and they were like, okay, this isn't 6 yet, or this isn't 7 yet, or whatever. And so I thought it was very, very wise of them to choose the alliance they were in.
Yeah, they're going to have a hard path forward, I think. I mean, as far as alliances go, it's going to be hard for both of them to get, far in the game, I feel like, unless they are very strategic about who they join, right? Mm-hmm. Especially like if they both make it to merge, which they're a solid block vote. I don't think any of them are, they kind of just fall in the middle of a lot of different kind of categories, right? They're not super physical. I mean, they look at Viola as super, super strong, she is, for her weight class and stuff, but when you compare it, so I think they'll have a kind of a hard time. If they can get into the new tribe and maybe team up with some of the, I don't know though. I don't see their path forward with a lot of these people. There's these people who are really, really flying under the radar. Like, you guys probably don't even know that this guy's on the season, but Scott on the Rebels team, long blonde hair. You'll have to look him up. You probably don't even recognize him. And then there's Weena too. Weena, how do you say his name? He's the Winna. Yeah. He's the
TikToker.
Yeah, TikToker.
Eats
TikToker.
Food,
yeah.
But he's also like a nuclear physicist or something. Like, he's really, really smart, but then he got into doing like social media, and he kind of took off and went viral, and he's got all these followers and all this stuff. Okay. So I like him. I think he's interesting. I'm going to enjoy watching him. I think he's going to bring humor and a little bit of that. He's very, doesn't like put himself up on a pedestal at all, self-deprecating a lot, and just is funny. And so I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. Valeria was my first, but I thought she would be gone first. And I definitely took into account how she was dressed. And like, when you come out in that big fluffy blue thing, fur jacket thing, and you just come out like a prima donna, I was just expecting it to be like, ew, sand kind of a thing.
I bet they told her to wear that.
100%. And it's very similar to what we saw last season on Australia with the one girl that ended up, she was from South Africa, the one we couldn't stand and was really mean to Nina. And they got rid of her pretty quickly. And she came in a big fur and all of this big game hunter, or whatever she is. But
she's proved pretty tough. I mean,
physical,
she's not afraid to get dirt, kind of down and physical and comfort. She did lose the last kind of physical challenge. But I mean, all around, she's done pretty well. She actually won some of the physical challenges, like the tug of war. I think she was instrumental in winning. So she's strong, big girl.
I want to know your thoughts on this. One thing I see more on either Australia, or it could be the fact that it's one of those theme seasons, like a David versus Goliath or Millennials versus Gen X, very early in the game during the challenges, and especially that boat thing they started off where the Rebels would go around the Titan ship.
And that was cool.
Do whatever. What do you guys think of the strategy or the action that some of them take where they try to be more team Rebel or team Titan? And then to me, it's almost like they forget that you have to merge eventually. And if you are too quick to be like team Rebel, no one's going to want to work with you on the other side and want to vote you off right away because of this arrogance. What's your guys' thoughts? Do you think there's any strategy that or benefit to doing what they're doing when it comes to that?
Well, look at Tobias. right? Tobias, every time they lose, he goes like, nah, he does the big L, and he's on the outside of his alliance because he thinks, oh, I'm pretty, so I'm gonna, everyone's gonna like me. No, they're gonna hate you for that. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, with Tobias and with Sarah, and Alex too, right? They were playing too much of the rebels strong when they're not in the majority on that tribe. So, yeah, I don't think it's usually a good thing. You got to be a little bit more diplomatic, right? You got to be.
We did see that though. We saw some of that at that one challenge, the cage match, right, where they had to climb out of the cage, and we saw some, and they were commenting on the bench. Oh, these guys are going to want to work together when we hit merge, right? Because they were like, "Hey, great job, good going. That was a lot of fun. Way to go!" Like high fives and hugs, and we saw that after after that part of the challenge. And then definitely people on the bench were commenting on it. Like,
what a heads up thing for Raymond to say right then and there. Like, I don't know if that will be used to show Raymond does have some strategic thought into getting people to kind of see bigger threats, or if that was him, or if that was the editor saying, hey, like they will be a group. And thank you, Raymond, for helping us out, but you're going to be eliminated here pretty soon. So that's going to be an interesting edit to watch.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting to see how they blend and merge. Yeah. I think we could see some shifting with people because within each, when we do get these big 12-person tribes, then we end up getting splinters off from that. So we've already seen that happening. So it's going to be when merge comes. I don't think, depending on when the merge happens and who's like how lopsided it might be, I think we might see like 3 groups come out of that, or, a group from the Titans that's going to merge really well with a group from the Rebels. And then there's going to be the outcasts from that. So that'll be a really interesting thing. We're coming up to our last 10 minutes, and I wanted to get to something that's really, really always bothers me, drives me nuts. And I want your opinion on it. Is it ever okay to throw a challenge?
Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about this, but like, this is so infuriating. One, it ruins the show because you want to see them compete and have a fair challenge and not throw that. It's so stupid when they throw it. And so many times it backfires. They throw the challenge and then literally PETA, like, the person who's running that alliance gets voted off. I mean, how stupid. And they didn't need to. They could have so I hate it when they throw a challenge and it doesn't work out. And and it didn't even make sense. She's annoying. Okay, well, this is a limited time. You don't have to marry her. You know what I mean? It's like, just deal with the annoyingness, walk down the beach, go sleep somewhere else. She's a loyal tribe member. Why would you vote her off so early in the game? And you've looked at this where they throw the challenge and then they get on a losing streak. And all 3 of those people could be voted off because they don't have the momentum anymore. It's just, it's such a, I mean, I hope people in Survivor realize this episode of why throwing a challenge, because there's so many variables too, idols and all this different stuff, to throw it and put yourself, because you put yourself up on the chopping block.
I would like
to give yourself even one single opportunity. So go ahead, Brendan. Sorry.
I would like
frustrating.
I can tell. And let me bring a piece to this. I think it's entertaining. I think one of the biggest pieces of my favorite throwing of a challenge was when someone threw a puzzle piece to the ground behind them and oops, and everybody was so mad at them for blowing the challenge. So as a viewer, I love when it happens. It's not a great strategy at all. I don't know if anybody, I'd like to go back and see the history on this to see if anybody who ever said let's throw a challenge won or got close to the top 3. And I'm struggling to find one person who did that of any of the winners. But a lot of that first, I think, goes down to just them being oblivious, and again sitting at that popular high school table at lunch. Another part of that is the lack of any kind of nutrients or good sleep. And I think if you're already that confident in your game, elitist maybe, then lack of sleep and food will only make you worse, and you can't hide behind that.
Yeah. I don't like it when they throw a challenge. I understand it. And I think there's been one rare occasion many seasons ago in the US Survivor where they threw a challenge, and I was so glad they got rid of somebody that was just annoying and taking up space on my screen. And I was just really glad that that person was gone. But even if it does work out in your favor for that challenge, like you said, Alex, it does change momentum. Momentum in a game is huge. We see it all of the time. We just saw it last week in the playoffs where you make some mistakes, one mistake, and then everything just starts to fall apart after that. And now you're, sitting in Detroit with nothing to do next Sunday. And so that's what happens if you're not paying attention and you're not staying on top of it. So when you intentionally do that, you're really setting yourself up for failure in the future, because it can change the tides. The only thing, and I'll do another football reference because I have my heart in football still. And it's seeing a team of players who aren't the top in their everything. Like, they're not the fastest, they're not the strongest, they're not the biggest, but you get a coach that gives them the confidence and gives them that, we've all seen those speeches where they rally them up, and it happens in real life, and you see good players do great things. And I think that's what happens when you take things away and you intentionally lose. You've given the other team that confidence lift that's what they're missing to go ahead and start winning. And so I don't think it's ever a good idea, even though, yes, it's funny to see the stupidity that they show when they don't think anyone's going to see them tossing stuff to the side, standing there and not doing anything, like, you're throwing it. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. We can all see it.
Well, you had Garrick and Ferris who said, didn't it feel like we were the only two pushing? And so you expose yourself to,
you got to be good.
Yeah. You expose yourself that you're disloyal to them. Yeah. And that you didn't tell them. And so they know going into tribal council that you're not with them. So it's just really silly.
And typically, and maybe people need to start doing this in their training to Survivor, is train how to throw a challenge or train how to be bad at something. If that's where you want to go, if that's a strategy you want to run, at least practice it at home first and see if you're good at it, and have people tell you, hey, like, that was lousy. I can tell you weren't pushing that thing or doing whatever it was. But I want to talk about one thing before we leave. And do we have a new contender for worst reward prize of any Survivor beside, the eating of the meat and giving that meat to the tribe as a win? That's huge. But
there was one. You got the can. You got your own. Wow.
Look at me. I'm a professional.
Okay, you got to open it and let us know what's inside. Is it peaches?
It's pineapple.
Oh, it's pineapple.
Well, there was one season on Australian Survivor, Nina was on, where they gave them pizza, but the pizza was frozen. So I don't understand this thing about Australian Survivor. They like prank them, or why they do this. They like, oh, you get a reward, and then it's kind of like a prank, or I don't know if production just forgot to do the reward correctly. Yeah, not as big as a budget.
Well, what I saw with those cans, I am like, first of all, I was so excited for them, because I'm thinking to myself, y'all got rice and beans, right? You got rice. Right. Now you have all this canned stuff, which is going to last a long time. True. You could have Jaden put down that damn can of peaches. You could have used the juice from that to flavor the rice and cut up you could have grilled those peaches and added it to and made it stretch a lot farther. That Spam could have been cut up and like everybody could have shared. Like, there's so many things you could have done, and all you did was open the cans and start eating the stuff. I'm like, that was a waste. That pissed me off. I would have been happy with canned food personally, because now shelf life is everything. When you're on an island, I'm like, you give me fish, I have to eat it all up and it's going to be gone. But if you give me a bunch of canned goods, that's going to last me for a whole week to 2 weeks. And I can make a lot of damn good meals out of that. And y'all are going to be eating really nice and be really happy with what you're putting in your belly. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm coming over your house for canned food night.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that now.
Can.
Yep.
No, you're right about that, though. They could have, it was weird. They just like handed them out randomly, and then everyone just ate what they ate. It was like, I guess that's what was fair. They decided on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Johanna says, haha, I said the exact same thing, Bree. Save the juices for your rice. Yep. Peach fried rice.
Yeah. You could have done so much.
Yeah. Spam fried rice. That's what Jaden, we didn't even talk about Jaden, strong man. kind of a goofy guy, fun-loving guy, always has a little quirk, thing to say. Kind of disappointing though. I mean, he's not very a strategic player. He's just kind of seems happy-go-lucky, there for the ride. You haven't even heard him talk about strategy once. So good to have on the
Well,
tribe.
he's got that tribal on him. I don't know if you're familiar with that in Australia and with the Aborigine tribes there and stuff, but that's I believe Maori or I can't think of what the
Yeah,
name
I was
is.
thinking that he's you're right.
That's a very, very like respectable and
Mhm.
like achievement for him to have that on him.
Mm.
And so I've seen, I mean, obviously with Jason Momoa, we get to see a lot of that stuff, the things that they've done. I mean, he's performed that like the dance and the different things, but it's very powerful. I watched a women's team. I don't know if it was rugby, it could have been a rugby team from down there, but when they come out and like the teams line up, they come out and they do this whole dance. Is yeah, very
Yeah.
powerful. And so I'm like, Jaden has this happy-go-lucky, I'm a sweetheart teddy bear kind of guy, but he got business going on. Like that's some serious stuff if that's what that is on him, which I believe it is. So
Yeah. So I think it's pronounced Maori tribe, and they're they're an indigenous Polynesian from a New Zealandish area, and yeah, he does. And I lived in Hawaii for a while, and he does have a very similar humor, emotive style as you see a lot in kind of these, South Pacific islands. Really nice guy, but yeah, not much. And even the physical aspect, a lot of these strong men, they're specialized, so they're very good at one thing. But you tell them to scratch their back, and they can't, right? Because they're too big and overdeveloped in certain areas.
well, on that note, Alex.
add that note on my knowledge of many things.
I appreciate it. We're gonna be expecting Australian accent every week now from you, Alex. We have lots to talk about. We've run up on our hour, so we thanks everybody for being here. That was not even a complete sentence. And we're gonna talk more. We want to hear what your thoughts are, who your favorite player is so far, who's your standout. Standouts for us, you heard it today. I like Mark a lot. I'm going to definitely be rooting for him. Alex, your standout this week?
I'm going to take a pretty risky bet here. I was right last season with D. I'm going to see if I can be right again here. I'm going to go with our friend Eden for my winner this year. We're going to see if he can pull it off. Yep, big pick. Well, it's my archetype. It's the nerdy. I used to work at a movie theater too, so I can relate to him on that level. So I like him. I think him and Mark, it's going to be a battle to the end with those two. That's my idea. See who wins.
Brandon, what about you?
See, I want to go with Mark, but I want to be competitive and I don't want to choose the same person. So I'm going to choose Mark or Eden's replacement. I think eventually he's gone. And I think that Mark will then start strategizing with, let me make sure I got this right. I'm going to go with Kitty Blomfeld. I think that she's playing under the radar game. Yeah. I think she's very easy at listening to people. And I think she's playing so under the radar, they haven't even mentioned her yet. And I can quickly see that that Mark's going to need a replacement sometime soon.
There we go. We want to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Get your can, pineapple.
Get your can. Bring the Australian accent.